Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Scry Syndrome, a TV podcast which is the best in the world, according to the people we've spoken to this week. I'm Ben Gilman. As always, I'm joined by a man who, no doubt, if Scotland say that they want to be independent again, will be donning the Mel Gibson Braveheart face paint and shouting at the front of the queue. It's Tom Hill.
Freedom!
And a man that, if the bewitched music video C'est La Vie is anything to go by, is a very happy green place. It's Dan Rudge.
Yeah, it's all lies. It's all lies and propaganda.
So, how are you guys all doing?
Where's Troy?
I don't know.
Now, I have important information here.
Okay.
Troy may or may not have been in receipt of an entirely anonymous tip that Kaylee Cuoco was locked down somewhere in the area where he lives. So
is he going door to door or something?
I have no idea, but I have heard that some kind of ghillie suit has been employed. So
Nice.
updates as events warrant.
Well, good luck with that, Troy.
Yeah, good luck. He'll be back next week, no doubt. So, how have you two guys been?
I've been a bit unwell this week. This is the first day I've had my voice properly back for 2 or 3 days, but other than that, cool.
What about you, Dan?
I've been doing all right, to be honest. It's been just your average normal week. I've been practicing, been carrying on, playing a few games, reading a few books.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know what?
Watching a
Talking
game,
of
having a
games,
bird.
I found online a old board game called Hero Quest. I remember my dad got that for me back when I was 5. I really want to buy that again. Oh yes, definitely
I've
something we
been
need
getting
to.
into the whole online gaming thing.
What have you been playing?
No, like social. What I can't think what they're called when somebody's
Social
playing
deduction,
the baddie, like Werewolf or Secret Hitler, stuff like that. I'm
Or
playing that
Secret
online with friends and
Hitler.
stuff.
Secret Hitler. Oh boy.
You
Yeah.
ever played it?
No, never heard of it.
Like, so basically, you've got a team of, let's say you've got 6 people playing. At least, most of them are liberals. But at least 1 or 2 of them are either a fascist and one of them is Hitler. And it's all about trying to root out who the baddies are before they can win the game. And yeah, it's similar to Werewolf and Mafia and other things of that ilk. And yeah, it's good fun.
Okay.
But yeah, that is not the point. That is the kind of thing that I've been getting involved with. So,
Well, it's certainly better than Rat. Rat? Yeah, do you remember him?
no,
what?
The board game? No? Rat?
no,
No?
no, I don't remember that.
Forget whatever I said. It's basically an old VHS board game. It's like Nightmare, with a really annoying rapping rat who stops you every 5 seconds. Don't you remember
I
this?
was saved from that.
Yeah.
Not
Okay.
a clue. That
Your
was a
parents-
torture reserved just for you, Ben.
Yeah, your parents clearly fucking loved you, didn't they? They didn't love me. Right, okay, so let's get on before I start any more fires like last week. So,
Hang on.
who wants to
hang
go
on,
first?
Hang on. Before we do,
Yeah.
just because it gives me an excuse as well.
Alright.
If any of the audience would like to see us playing something along the lines of a social deduction game, please do leave a comment or send in an email to squareeyes2020@gmail.com.
Square Eyes
Also,
Syndrome 2020.
squareeyesyndrome2020@gmail.com. Sorry, this is my first week on this job. As well as, doing the whole, the scribbles and the tingles and the tinkles and the put them on your favorites and give us 5-star reviews and all that sort of stuff. Please, pretty please. Thank you.
Yeah. Send them to
Going
the
over.
email address that Dan will provide. Tom will provide you with now, because you
Dan
keep
just
sending
provided
it
it
to
for
me.
you, but I'll do it again.
Okay.
Square
Hi,
Ice Syndrome 2020 at
at
gmail.com.
gmail.com.
That place, not me. I'm loving your mail, and there's a hell of a good one later on. Trust me, it will make your eyes go on fire. It's that good. Right. So
Okay.
I want to go first because once I'm very quick. I'm in and out. Done.
Yep.
So I
Yes, so
wanted
we've
to
heard.
talk about funny.
Come on,
So
were you really expecting me not to go for that?
I was hoping you were more classy than that, but apparently not. So
How long have you known me?
too long. 18 months. Yeah, I've known you quite well now. So
It's about a year and a half, man.
yeah, that's a long 18 months, mate. So I wanted to talk about SMTV Live.
Jesus, that's the throwback.
Well, over Christmas, ITV decided to do like an hour-long documentary on Anton Deck and Kat Deely's SMTV Live, which is, for people that aren't British of a certain age, it was a kids show on Saturday mornings that basically had lots of sketches and Pokemon and Sabrina the Teenage Witch, and it went against the BBC's Live and Kicking. And I can tell you, everyone that watched this show watched SMTV. Nobody was watching a Live and Kicking.
I disagree. I watched Live and Kicking.
Was that with John Barrowman?
Can I interrupt? I know there's an argument brewing, but I just have to point out that I definitely heard the collective sigh of relief from everyone who didn't know what you were talking about when you finally explained what the show was. Because before that, I think quite a lot of them were going, sorry, what? Sadomasochism television? What are we?
So basically, it was presented by two, how do you call them?
Geordies.
Two very famous comedy presenters who have now gone into Saturday Night Family Entertainment, and to Deck from Newcastle, Northern England. They are very funny though, and I do remember every Saturday I would watch SMTV just because they're. Have you actually watched it, Tom?
Yeah. I just preferred Live and Kicking.
Fair play. But they definitely kicked the shit out of Live and Kicking in the ratings.
They did.
They used to have a lot of fun with it, like Wonky Donkey, Guess What the Animal Is, Challenge Deck, which is like a kid challenging, asking questions, and the Pokemon rap, the Pokemon battles that they used to do to take the piss out of Pokemon, and all the celebrities. It was just chaotic fun. And what about you, Dan? Do you remember SMTV Live?
Yeah, it was very British, wasn't it?
What was your favourite bit?
I'm going to be completely honest with you.
Cat Deely.
No. Watching Pokemon.
That was when it exploded, right? 98. That was right in the middle of Pokemon. 99? 99. Here?
Something like that.
My favourite thing about it.
Yeah.
Because that was always with my friends, and it was at home, and it was everyone would clamber over to whoever's house was, like, the parents didn't mind the children all coming round and sitting in the living room and making noise. It was great. Loads of fun.
I do remember once they had Victoria Beckham. I don't know how they got away with it. They had her the spaceship map, and she drew boobs. They literally did tits on a screen. I don't know how they got away with it. Do you remember that?
Nope.
Oh, I was watching this documentary, and I was just surprised they showed that clip because I don't remember it. I was just thinking, you cheeky bastards! I don't know how they got away. They got away with murder. They got so many sly dick jokes in when you weren't looking. Also, I remember they did the Friends spin-off. No, the Friends rip-off. They basically did Chums. as
Yes, I
well. It was
remember
always
that.
funny. Yeah. And they got all the best guests as well because everybody wanted to go on there. So it was always a star-studded moment. It was just a great show.
In Live and Kicking's defense, I think you have to acknowledge that Live and Kicking had been going for a couple of years before SMTV came on. And so they were the new fresh thing in comparison, whereas Live and Kicking was on like its third set of presenters.
So
If memory serves.
What period was John Barrowman on Love and Kicking?
I stopped watching it at that point, so I can't even remember.
Okay.
But he was not one of the original hosts of Live and Kicking.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure he wasn't anyway. I don't remember him being the host of Live and Kicking, but I could be wrong.
I can find out. So, that was my first pick because I love the chaotic way of doing things. They just had fun. And it's just a nostalgic pick for the first one. The second pick is The Good Place.
Oh, interesting.
So, I don't know where you guys are, so I'm going to tell you where I am so you can't spoil it for me. I'm going in blind. So I'm up to the 5th episode of season 1, which is on Netflix. I love this show. I don't know why. I just love this show. It's about a woman that dies and ends up in an afterlife. Would you like to help me out here?
I'd love to, but I can't.
Haven't actually watched it yet. It's on my list.
Okay.
But as I understand it, it's somebody who hasn't lived the best of lives, but has ended up in essentially heaven rather than hell, but is actually quite a flawed human being and shouldn't be in the good place. She should be in the bad place. Is that that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the basic premise of it, as I understood it.
The best thing about it is it's really funny and clever. And it's very short seasons as well, because I've told you guys before, I don't like the American way of 24 episode seasons. It's just very funny, very clever. And I have a theory that the person behind it is not who he seems.
Right.
It's just people have been telling me to go watch this film for ages, this series forever, and I just thought it's time to go and see it. So me and my wife are watching that at the moment. Yeah, that's me done.
Nice.
Sorry, I'm not as good as everybody else on this podcast about things. That's me.
What was wrong with that, Ben? That was good stuff.
So
nothing wrong with that.
It's got Ted Danson in it and Kirsten Bell.
Right.
Yeah, very, very good.
It's got a good cast to it, I know.
Yeah. And I'm very interested to see how they can keep it interesting for 4 years. Because there's 4 seasons. Yeah. And Troy, who's not here today, hasn't shut up about it. So I'm watching it because of him.
So you picked the 1 week he's not here to talk about a show that he would go fucking nuts for.
Yeah, I didn't know he was going to disappear and go and stalk someone, okay? I didn't know.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So, yeah, I've only started watching it, so I don't have a lot to do. But the Kirsten Bell plays Eleanor, so as you said, when she does something bad, it fucks up the world. So she has to always be a good person. So there's gradual progression, and it's a comedy with a ongoing plot, which is my favourite bit. So yeah, I'm in. I can't wait to see how it all ends. It's just brilliant.
Fair enough.
Okay, that's me done.
All right.
Okay.
So, would you like to go next, Tom, or would you like me to?
I really don't mind, young Daniel. You may choose.
Tom is always bringing up the rear.
Yeah, that's not a good sounding thing. I'll go next.
There you go.
Okay. I ummed and ahed about this pick, and I'm not going to spend very long on it today, but I feel like it's something that I want to talk about. It's not talking about comedy or anything like that. It's there was an ITV special on a few nights ago about the incidents in Washington last week and the storming of the Capitol building. It's a really interesting little documentary. It's about half an hour long. It's called Storming the Capitol, The Inside Story. It's about a BBC, not BBC, an ITV reporter who'd kind of predicted that something like this might happen. And so he was there with a video camera, and he was actually swept into the Capitol building with the protesters and managed to get first-hand footage of all the stuff that was going on in the Capitol building. And we make an effort to not be overtly political in what we say and what we do. I'm not going to make any judgment calls on this. I'm just going to say this was a really this was a brave documentary. The guy was filming whilst people were threatening to punch him, stab him, and shoot him, and things like that. So the fact that he did this recording was unbelievable. He took a big risk in doing it, but it was a really interesting piece of documentary work. It was a really interesting little video. Like I say, I'm not going to give any opinions as to what went on there because it's not my place to. This is a podcast about TV shows, not political moments. But it was, go and watch it. The feelings of claustrophobia and imagine how uncomfortable some of the people who got swept into going in there might have felt. And it's like, it also shows that not all the people in there were like bad people, if that makes sense. Like there's a point where one of these guys who is officially a member of the militia tries to attack the film crew, and a whole load of other people who've come in with them get in front of them and block them to stop the guy from attacking him. So it wasn't like everybody's bad kind of video. It was showing it as it happened, really, as far as I could see. Obviously, any kind of show like this is going to have some level of bias to the way that it needs to be presented, and obviously the national outcry about it means that it's always going to be presented in a negative way. But I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about the fact that this is a really piece of brave news reporting done really well. And yeah, I would recommend going and seeing it. It's available on the ITV hub. Like I say, it's only half an hour long, but it's really interesting, and I would say go and have a look at it.
Check it out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I say, I don't want to make us overtly political in what we do. I'm just saying it's worth a watch.
Okay, well the opinions of Daniel Rudge are not the opinions of Square Eye Syndrome, but it was fucking horrible.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like, holy shit, that was
I will say, without being rude, it was the most shocking thing I've seen in a long time since 9/11 in America.
Absolute, but that's why this documentary is so interesting, because
Without being
firsthand,
political,
you're in it.
Without being
but
political.
You're inside it. I'm literally, it's a really interesting alternative take on what happened that day, in terms of, rather than just people standing outside saying, "Oh, we're hearing this has happened," you're actually seeing what is going on inside the building, and I would say it's worth the watch. It's just really interesting. It's disconcerting and it is scary.
I would just like,
Go on.
No, please Phil, continue. I'll finish after you're done.
Yeah, literally, that's all I was saying is I'm not trying to take a side here. I'm not trying to give a political opinion on this. It's really, really interesting just to see what happened from a perspective of actually being on the ground and seeing the people using what's being set up for Biden's inauguration to get into the building and stuff like that. And just how underprepared the security was for what happened.
I just want to say also on behalf of the team, like, we hope all of our American listeners are safe and that everything is fine. That you're all good. Especially because Washington is our biggest listenership in America. So
you always managed to get that in, man. Always managed to get that in.
No, I'm not joking about it.
Hang on. Washington or Washington, D.C., Ben?
Washington, D.C.
Okay.
We just want to make sure you're all good. Keep safe. Wear a mask. See you soon. Okay, done. Right.
Fair enough. Right. Okay,
Yeah.
so let's moving swiftly on to pick number 2.
Is it more funner?
Yes.
Oh, thank God. Right.
So, if I were to say to you, which TV show stars David Mitchell, Robert Webb, David Mitchell playing a neurotic person who gets worried about everything and posh and sounds like David Mitchell, and Robert Webb as a far more laid-back character
Peep
who
Show.
you never quite...
Go.
Go.
So who said Peep Show?
We
Me.
both did.
This is a show called Back.
Oh! This is something that's on my list. Okay.
Right. I would certainly... You might get the impression from the way I've said that I'm not a fan of the show. I love David Mitchell. I love Robert Webb. However...
Hold on. I just wanted to do one thing before we continue.
Go on.
Whenever Dan is sick or doesn't want to do a week, we're going to do a Peep Show special when he's away. No offense, Dan. Don't get sick anytime soon. But if you're busy one week, we're going to do Peep Show. So it's done. Cool. Okay. Cool.
Right,
Done.
fair enough.
Right, move on. Yep.
So, Back. It's not Peep Show. It's a very different show. It's funny. So far there've only been 6 episodes. The second series starts on, I believe, the 21st of January. It's been plagued with problems. The first series, similar to Peep Show, got really good reviews but quite a low viewership. And then it's as similar to Peep Show. It's started picking up kind of a cult following.
Yeah.
It got first series was in 2017. It did get recommissioned, but it was whilst they were filming the new series back in, I think, 2018. Robert Webb discovered that he had a serious heart condition and had to have an emergency operation that took him out for months and months. So they were filming in 2019. Then Robert Webb had to miss like 6 months because of a heart operation. And just as they came back to start filming again, the first lockdown happened. So they only wrapped filming in September of this year on the second series. But your basic premise is this: David Mitchell is a pub landlord. His father owned the pub. His father has died, and it's kind of him dealing with the fact that he's taking over. And then this character played by Robert Webb shows up, and he was fostered. The family that David Mitchell lives in took in a lot of foster children over the years, and Robert Webb was one of those foster children, and he's got great memories of it, which David Mitchell's character doesn't have. The two of them remember it very differently. And he's kind of come back, and it turns out that he'd been in touch with David Mitchell's dad over Facebook and things, and he's somehow managed to wheedle himself into the point where the business, the pub, 45% has been left to David Mitchell's mum, 25% to him, 25% to his sister, and the other 5% has been given to Robert Webb's character.
Yeah.
And it's all about him. And basically this guy, you don't know whether he's a psychopath or not. You don't know if he genuinely is the person who was fostered by them even. You're not sure on that. Or is he just somebody who is a people pleaser and needs attention? Like in the very first episode, they show him flying in to kind of join the family, and somebody starts having a heart attack on the plane. And the air stewardess gets up and says, "Is there a doctor here?" And a guy who is actually a doctor starts to get up, and Robert Webb knocks him over and goes, "I'll do everything I can to help." And then it shows that the person died, and he said, "Well, I tried my best." And you just don't know whether he's just got this pathological need to be the center of attention, or he's a genuine psychopath. And it's all about, basically, David Mitchell thinks that this guy is trying to steal his life, And is the guy doing that? Is he not? It's quite hard to tell. The thing that I really love about this show, it's funny. It's got laughs the whole way through. It has a very Peep Show feel to it without being inside the people's heads. But the first series, the director had them shoot every scene twice. And in the first version of the scene, Robert Webb played it as if he was a psychopath and was doing things in order to destroy the guy's life. And the other one, he played it as if he was just somebody who liked attention. And then they chopped and changed the whole way through the series using different takes. So half of the time you're thinking, oh God, he's a psychopath. Half the time you're not, which gives a greater level of confusion to the character. And I think it's just a really nice bit of something different, something unusual to really leave the audience guessing as to what the hell this guy's motivation is. Because half the time he seems just happy-go-lucky, and half the time he seems genuinely sinister. And yeah, it's David Mitchell being David Mitchell, to be brutally honest. Robert Webb is the star of this because there's a lot more nuance to his performance. Just trying to think if there's anything else. The cast's got one or two people who you might know. I mean, David Mitchell's sister in this is played by Louise Brealey, who she plays Molly in Sherlock.
Oh, okay.
The pathologist in Sherlock is, yeah, but she's playing a very different character. He's playing like a semi-hippie who's actually completely scared of doing anything. And yeah, it's good fun. It doesn't take itself too seriously. Genuinely it's not long. It's a 6-episode series. And I'm genuinely looking forward to the second series, and I will actually be keeping an eye on it as it comes out.
Fair.
Lovely.
So yeah, those are my recommendations for this week. I'd say go and watch. If you enjoyed Peep Show, even if you didn't enjoy Peep Show, this show is easier to watch because I understand your reticence, Dan, with Peep Show.
Yeah.
It's a very personal thing. I'm not saying Peep Show is a bad show at all. In fact, I say entirely the opposite. It's a great show that I find it very uncomfortable to watch because of that first-person view. And that's a very personal thing. I am not ragging on Peep Show at all. I hate watching it. I'm not saying it's a bad show. I'm literally saying it's a valid reason, but it's very personal and it isn't.
And you're coming back onto the podcast special one day. When we do it, you're coming on. Fine. Done. Let's do it.
We are not going to force Dan to watch a show that makes him feel uncomfortable, Ben.
No, but he's got a good. I would like him to have that style of insight to why he finds it uncomfortable. It's a good thing. Yeah, definitely.
So, back to this podcast.
Yes.
That leaves just the one of us, as it doesn't appear that Roy has found Miss Cuoco yet.
He has.
No, he hasn't. He's definitely nowhere near as the anonymous source.
Have you got a tracking device on this boy?
No, I may as well admit the anonymous source was me, and I made the whole thing up. You gotta have fun somehow in lockdown.
Yeah, you do.
Anyway, I have 2 choices today, and I'm going to go with the easier to explain why I'm picking it one first. This is a show called Forged in Fire.
Okay.
Has anyone heard of this show?
Nope.
Heard of it, don't know what it is.
Yeah. So do say.
So in Forged in Fire, it's a competition show, specifically around the area of blacksmithing bladed and historical weapons.
Okay.
Sometimes they go slightly outside of that comfort zone, but that is very much their wheelhouse, and that's how they do it. It's been going on the History Channel for quite a while. It's one of those shows that will get a lot of reruns Like it'll become daytime TV all over the world after it's had its first run wherever it is. They have a forge, very much like with all of your sort of talent competition shows. Like a Master Chef will have a Master Chef kitchen that they're all working in. They have this set, which is a forge. Lots of metalworking equipment all over the place. And in a normal, they do have different formats for episodes, but in a normal episode, you start off with a panel of 3 or 4 judges who range from martial arts and weapons experts to smithing experts to historical weapon recreation specialists. In particular, I would say if you want to look up anyone from among them, David Baker is a historical weapons recreation specialist whose work is insane and is usually showcased every episode in the thing that they're presented with, that they have to copy some weapon from history in order to do the final round. But I'll get to that. So you have these 4 competitors. They're all bladesmiths of some kind. They've done something to get through to the point where they're allowed to be here. They've proved themselves competent enough in some kind of way. And they will be given a challenge. And the challenge is almost always initially to forge a blade of a kind of knife from a specific set of materials that are handed to them. And the specific set of materials can be like 1025 steel and 1020 steel, or it can be you have a motorcycle and you have to find the metal off of the motorcycle in order to do it, or you have a cannon, or a bunch of springs, or a million tiny nails, and you have to try and find a way to forge something into a knife, whatever. And then they go through the process for 3 hours. They have that time to forge their blade, and then they will present their blade to the judges, and whichever one is the worst at that point, or has the most cracks in the metal, or the most cold shuts in the metal and weaknesses, or is the least finished, or the worst designed, whichever one is the weakest overall out of them is like, okay, go home. The 3 that remain then get told, okay, now you are finishing your knife, including a handle, and then they'll give specifications for the handle. And then they will put those knives through a series of tests to see how sharp they are, how strong they are, how well they work for what they're designed for, whether it's a chef's knife or a competition chopper or something like that. And then someone else will get knocked out via whichever one is the weakest, and the 2 who are left go on to a final round competing for $10,000. Where they get shown this weapon from history, and it can literally be anything. Like across all the seasons they've done, and it's been like 7-8 seasons or more. They've done everything from your sort of Scottish dirk to your tomahawk and Bowie knife combo to the like panavus from Southeast Asia, the like combination of it looks somewhat like a sword, but actually it's a war axe, or the like great sword from the Braveheart sword,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
or Arya's what do you call it, needle.
Yeah.
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 They've done all of these things, and then but that final round isn't in the forge. In that final round, they get a week at home with all the stuff they have at home to work with. And then they come back and these things are put through tests, like they have to cut up a ballistics dummy or a pig carcass or a goat, or they have to be chopped into horns or skulls or like sheet metal or even like ammo boxes and things. It's always kind of on theme for the kind of weapon they're doing. And like these things are put through their paces properly. The strength test in particular is just harrowing to watch, because you just see like David Baker or one of the other judges just take whatever weapon this smith has slaved for an entire week on and done their absolute best work that they've ever done in their life on. And he's just wailing into this massive tree trunk over and over and over with this thing. And they do break sometimes, or they bend, and they have like all kinds of errors start happening. Sometimes like the person who's meant to be doing the weapon test picks it up and just goes, if I swing that, that's going to rip my tendons. This hasn't been done well enough. This can't be judged, so it's out. And sometimes it's like really close. The two smiths have done amazing work, and it's a matter of tiny, tiny details that decides the winner. And the best thing about all of this, the whole way through, right? Whenever you get to these like talent competitions, I'm talking anything from competitive chef competitions to the X Factor to like any of these things, dancing on ice, Strictly Come Dancing, all of these things. There seems to be a level of people will play up the aggro factor or the disrespect when it does happen, if not try and make it happen, depending on sort of the way that it's filmed and the audience it's for and what they're trying to do with their product. And there's none of that here. Absolutely none of it. Everything is respectful. Everything is absolutely like, from the guy who gets voted off first, he's respected as a smith anyway. This is a massive undertaking, a massive challenge. Someone has to lose. Doesn't matter. These are the reasons why, but come back another time. You're respected. And the whole way through, regardless what happens, if someone breaks their weapon, the blade goes flying off and they slaved all over it, they just accept it. They accept it as being part of this journey. The judges are respectful the whole way through. The contestants are. The host is. It's everyone has this sense of we all do this thing, and because we all do this thing, we all have respect for each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that, like, I really enjoy watching people who can do this kind of thing do their stuff. Just I'll go and watch blacksmithing videos just on YouTube. Shout out to Big Dog Forge, because he's pretty cool. But if you want to see good craftsmen doing their thing, competing, putting themselves to real tests and driving themselves really hard. I mean, it's not uncommon to see these guys have to stop and someone be taken out of the competition for medical reasons because they've gotten too into it and haven't taken care of their body and gotten like dehydrated, or like they've had some kind of breathing or heart issue. A lot of these guys are not small guys or fit guys. They've spent their life in blacksmith forge, not on athletics tracks. And just the way everything is dealt with is properly, like, no, but still constant respect from everyone to anyone, and constant celebration of the art form as well. So that's my first pick.
Okay. It sounds like, I'm going to be honest with you now, I've got something to share with you. I find swords quite sexy. You know, when they like the handle and the blade, they can carve stuff into it. I do love a good sword. Have to admit it. I'm going to go watch this. It sounds like something I want to go see. Love a really engraved blade.
No, you'll see some absolutely beautiful pieces of work on this. You
Lovely.
really, you'll also see some absolute horrors, but Mostly beautiful pieces of work. So yeah, that's the first thing. And I know I've rambled on, but I'm even more likely to ramble on for my second pick. So I have to move on with it. I'm going to break the rules.
Uh-oh. Go on then, you rebel.
I'm going to talk about a documentary, which is a feature-length documentary.
Ooh, okay. Is it a theatrical release from the cinema?
No. It's been given film awards, but it is a documentary that was designed to be seen, just released as a documentary, not as a cinema release. It's a 2012 Swedish-British-Finnish documentary film called
Okay.
Searching for Sugarman.
Okay.
I've mentioned this before. I've said things about it before. I absolutely adore this, which is why I'm breaking the rules for it. This is a story that talks about a myth. In Detroit in 1942, there was this guy called Hector Rodriguez, also known as Jesus Rodriguez, and known professionally as Rodriguez. He was a singer-songwriter born in Detroit, in Michigan, and he released 2 albums. No, like that, neither of them sold well in America. They had some critical acclaim, but they completely bombed, and they were not. But for some reason, and no one knows the exact reason, but in South Africa during the anti-apartheid movement, at some point the story goes that a girl from America who had moved over to South Africa to live with her boyfriend brought him a copy that she had recorded, a pirated copy of Cold Fact, which was the first Rodriguez album. And from that pirated copy, that album sold more copies than anything Elvis did in South Africa. It became that Rodriguez became one of the complete sort of icons of the anti-apartheid movement, especially amongst the really young white population in South Africa. And he became this complete icon and became integral to the history of South Africa and became this incredible figure, especially because of the story that surrounded him, that they all had come to learn, this myth about him, which was that they'd found this album and then someone had found his second album, Coming From Reality, and along with that, they'd found this story about how he had never received any popular acclaim. He'd never had his message heard properly or understood for what it was. And as the tortured artist he was, at the end of a show one night, he killed himself. And initially people went looking for details about this, and there became these different embellishments to this story. One said that he set himself on fire, one said that he quietly thanked his audience and then blew his brains out, and one said that he just left and went home and just OD'd that night, and all this sort of stuff. And this story is about taking that myth and really investigating it to its logical, and the truth is far, far stranger than fiction conclusion.
So what did he do?
Okay, so before I go any further, I'm going to say I'm just going to spoiler the fuck out of this from now. So if at this point you are absolutely happy that you really want to go and watch this, I think it's on Amazon right now. If not, it should be on a bunch of other places as well. So just cut short here. Come back to me after you've watched it, because if you mind spoilers, this is going to be one of those things where you're going to hate yourself for continuing to listen to it. So this guy who is going looking for Rodriguez is Malik Benjelloul. In the late 1990s, same time as SMTV was on, him and a guy called Stephen Sugarman and Craig Bartholomew Stridham go and try and figure out what happened in this rumored death of that Rodriguez, this myth guy Rodriguez, who created this amazing music that was better than Bob Dylan and sold more in South Africa than Elvis did, and possibly more than the Beatles did. Like, what happened to all of that money as well? And they started following the money. And they go looking for anything, and it's like they're following all of these leads, and they find that the money is going into a dead end. Like, someone is pocketing it, but it's not someone who has any relation to Victor Rodriguez. It's not someone who has any actual connection to anyone who is related to him. It's just, it's going into a dead end. And so they get quite despondent, and they're like trying to figure out what's going on. And eventually one of them gets this email from one of the many feelers that have been put out that said, "I heard you wanted to talk to Jesus Rodriguez." You know, what to talk to? We just wanted to find out how he died. And he's like, "What do you mean died? He's my father. I spoke to him yesterday." Turns out laying brick and working in metalworking factories and just doing the open mic night scene and living like a completely minimalistic, almost hermit-like lifestyle, as well as having issues with like substance abuse and alcoholism, but genuinely being this sort of, I don't need money, but I will help anyone who can, and I'll do any job for anyone who can't, and I'll do it for the absolute minimum, and for like this incredibly long time. And he's just been this sort of, I'm not very good at being responsible, but I can be very helpful kind of like dude, just sort of good heart, but good heart, good work ethic, zero common sense. And so eventually they find him, and they tell him, look, this is what's happened to your music. And he hasn't had a fucking clue. He never knew. And they get him out to South Africa, and he actually manages to do concerts in South Africa. And this entire generation of people who took this tragic story and this message of, I'm not just going to sit here and not say the words that are in my heart about this horrible situation that I see in front of me. Like, there were two things about his music that really like sort of struck home a lot. One was how beautiful it was and poetic it was, the words that were used. And the other was the give no shits attitude that he obviously showed writing them as well. He has one which is like, it's called I Wonder. And like, it's over and over he's saying the lines, I wonder. And then another line on top of it, and one of them is just blatantly, I wonder how many times you've had sex, and I wonder, do you know who'll be next? And that, the just straight up, just, I wonder how many times you've had sex. And that in the apartheid times is just, it's so out there and straightforward and right up there, and there's nothing put up in front of it, but it's still in this beautiful poetic language, but it's just stark, and it's right there and naked in front of them. And at the same time, he has this other one which is called the Anti-Establishment Blues. And it's like, mayor hides the crime rate, councilwoman hesitate, public gets irate but forgets the vote date. You know, all this sort of over and over and over and on, just this rant about how everything is just kind of fucked. And it's in the way that we would recognize now, but it was written in the 60s. It speaks completely true right now about situations that we saw last week. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this guy who has spoken to an entire generation who have also grown up with this certainty that he will never be there to actually speak to them in person, and it's up to them to carry his message forward with the struggles that they've faced. Like, apartheid was a fucking horror. Dealing with that much of an authoritarian regime was a fucking horror. And he inspired them to still go against it, and to the bands to literally say, well, you can't stop us from making music. You can't stop us from putting our songs out there. We can still do our art, and we can still be part of this and still help fuel this getting better. And then suddenly he's there. This entire generation of people like pack into this like arena, and this metal worker from Detroit shuffles out in like a denim jacket that he's been wearing for 50 years, and picks up a guitar, and everyone just goes fucking mental. I love this. It's so good.
I think it's still on Netflix by the looks of things. I may be wrong though.
It's one of those documentaries where it will give you a new outlook on life. It will give you this idea of like, okay, yeah, there's magic. I've given you the story, but none of the charm, none of the reason why you will properly fall in love with this documentary have I given out to you yet. Even with all the spoilers, even with all of that that's gone on.
Yeah.
Go watch it. It's wonderful. I'm sorry that I've broken the rules, but I'm not sorry that I've broken the rules.
Do we have rules at this point?
Because the Square Eyes audience, you know that we talk about a lot of things. We talk about things that we hate as much as we talk about things that we love. We talk about things that bother us.
The wrestling, we've been picked up by people before in the wrestling and stuff. But sometimes we've got to have the freedom to be able to do what we want a bit. It's fun.
But I want to put this out there, not just because I love it and because it's one of the things which I really, really vibe with, but because I honestly believe that if you are a Square Eyes Syndrome podcast listener and you have not yet seen this, then this is going to be a wonderful treat for you. This is going to be an absolute joy to watch, and just enjoy.
Okay. Thank you, Dan. So, I have now, before we go, I have an email.
Oh, God.
This is off camera. I was building this up. This is pretty special. So, it's Mark from New York. So we're back to the Americans. Hello.
Ooh, nice.
Hey.
Big fan of the podcast, which is great. Thank you, Mark. I have a question I need to ask all four of you. We do apologise that Troy is not here, but the other three of us will try and sort this out.
We will ask him next week.
Yes, I'm sure it'll be hilarious.
My fault.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. So, he's dating two girls at the moment. Oh boy. Hold on. Let me just check this. Can we get away with this? Yeah, we can. So, Basically, oh dear, how do I describe this? He basically says he's dating two women who are into sci-fi, like he is. He's a massive Doctor Who fan. There is a slight problem, though. He hates Star Trek and Star Wars.
Right.
The other two girls are fans of the other two shows, but hate the other two shows. So one is a Star Wars fan, hates Star Trek and Doctor Who, and the other one is a Star Wars fan that hates Doctor Who and Star Trek. He's asking, how do I solve this problem?
Firefly.
Well, we've turned into the dating. We know how we now find date.
Look, you have, if you are a sci-fi fan, you have a lot more than those three things to work with. Yes, those may be your favorites. Yes, you may hate the other two, but like whoever likes the thing, they can just like the thing. Okay, that's not an issue. My concern here is not any of that kind of thing, because The Expanse, Babylon 5, Battlestar Galactica, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy,
Farscape.
what are you really that? No, you're not that concerned about that at all. My concern really there is, do those girls know that you're dating them?
Yeah,
both.
Yeah, it's a question.
That's the really pertinent question there. As,
Right,
as long as they
he's
do and they're fine with it, then cool. You do you,
Well,
and then.
Mark has
I
put the
think
email.
Ben, I think the more important question here is which one of these girls likes square-eyed syndrome more, because they're the keeper.
They're the one. That's the one. That's what you need to be asking here. That is exactly what I'm thinking. I mean, Mark has said, though, to be fair, this is the ongoing problem, isn't it? Doctor Who versus Star Wars versus Star Trek. The fans have never got on. Actually, I would say a lot of people cross over. I don't think there is.
Three, so.
Yeah, I don't think there is a big war between the three. I've never heard that.
Maybe there is in America.
Maybe in America.
Yeah, America, you call yourselves a melting pot.
Okay, but my suggestion is, because you know Tom and Dan have given really good ones. Oh, he has said, "What are you planning on covering any Star Trek?" Yeah, we might have to do a Star Trek special this year or two, guys. That's what I'm saying. Okay, we have to do that.
But which Star Trek are we doing?
That's a problem. I think we've had this question a couple of weeks ago.
Deep Space Nine.
Deep Space Nine, yeah.
I'm sorry, but Deep Space Nine is like leagues ahead in terms of my favorite Star Trek. So
best captain.
But not really, just because of Odo.
Good point.
Wash your mouth out with soap, Ben. Best captain, Kirk. Every which way.
Fuck William Shatner. So, before I get lynched for that, so before, but no, my suggestion to you, Mark, is just have a threesome and have a really angry threesome about how you both hate each other. That solves the problem. Imagine how good that will be.
I would like to point out to the listeners that Ben is the only one of us who's married, and yet that's his advice.
Imagine the sex out of that way.
Ben,
that was so
Ben,
right.
Isn't healthy.
So anyway,
isn't healthy, Ben.
You
so anyway,
vicariously through the people who email us, Ben.
Thank you, Mark. I hope that goes well for you.
Can I point out that we do appreciate emails about any and all subjects. However, why in the world are you coming to us about dating advice?
That's it. But I love it. I love the fact that that's happened. It's a bit different. I thought I'd bring that one up.
We appreciate it, and hopefully something that one of us has said has been helpful.
All right, one more email. Wow. Jesse from Canada. I don't know if it's a boy or girl. Maybe, I don't know. Jesse could be. Oh, okay. So we don't know. Hello to you anyway. Wants to know the dating status of all four members of the podcast. Well, obviously, I'm married. I can't speak for the other three.
Recently single.
Okay. Oh yeah, Mr. Strummer. Yeah, I remember this from last week. Yeah.
It's complicated.
You sound like a
Essen-
Facebook update.
No. It's complicated, but essentially single.
Okay. And Troy is, as far as I know, because he's not here, a virgin. So that answers that question. So
Troy is currently in a very, very serious one-way tryst with imaginary Kaylee Cuoco.
not that there's anything wrong with being a virgin. You just lose it when it's ready, right? No, I just want to make that clear. We're not shooting him for being that, right? So we better go then. Before I get into any more trouble this week. I do want to say thank you to everyone that's supporting us. As Dan said, we appreciate all the support.
Yes, because subscribes.
Yeah,
Subscribe.
everyone.
Subscribe.
Absolutely. Next week is the Copland Part the special, because we have to get this right. We think we're going to do a fantastic job with this one.
Yeah, we have to go back and right the wrongs of our earlier selves.
Well, because now we know how to do our specials better. We don't do episode by episode. We just do a general overview. So that's how we're going to fix that bad boy. I think it'll be better. Maybe we'll delete the first Copland video. No, we won't. We'll keep it up.
Keep it up.
So yeah, that's well, until next week, that's thank you from me.
Yes, thank you from me.
Yeah, cheers everyone. Thank you for listening.
And also goodbye from me. I've completely screwed this up.
Yeah, thank you is a goodbye as well, Ben. You can go with that.
Well, goodbye from me.
Goodbye. It's more see you later.
Yeah,
it's
see
more
you
of an
around the corner.
au revoir.
Au revoir.
Matinee.
Matinee. All right. Bye-bye.
Just turn it off.
I can't find the button. Hold on.
Fade out.
Hold on. Bonjour. No, that's goodbye. Au revoir.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Yeah, Au Wiedersehen. Ooh, might have to do that on the podcast next week. Okay. Get the fuck out of here. It's closing time.